Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And one time I was at a concert and the guy on stage said, "Everybody throw your hands up." But when I threw up, it was just spaghetti, and there may have been a misunderstanding. But for the last week, I've been carrying the RoseCraft Blades Castorea. And let's take a look at this thing real quick. First things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. You got a flipper tab right here, so let's flick the bean. And you got a button lock here that only lets you close it, not open it, but I love that button lock. That's like the soft close on a door. Like if you're going to do a button lock different, that's how you do it. Same thing as when I did the first look at it, but I am so fond of this now. Let's flick the bean again. You got a 3.9-inch D2 steel blade and a spear point with a swedge at the top right here. And this thing treated me very, very well all week long. Tucked in the waistband, there was no discomfort. Like, I knew it was there because it's on the thick side for something like this, but there wasn't any digging, rubbing, hot spotting, nothing. I also gave it a couple of days of carry in my pocket like I was supposed to, and it did pretty good there. Now, with it being this thick and blocky, like there's not like a huge radius on this edge right here. There's less of a radius right here. It's closer to a hard 90 on the dingus end. It did make it a little bit harder than other knives to dig into the pocket and get stuff out from under it, but it wasn't terrible. It didn't take up that much space. It was just a little tricky to dig around. The one complaint that I had before I started carrying it was definitely the factory edge. I'm still not the happiest in the world with the factory edge. Let's see what it cuts like. That's actually a lot better than it was. So my initial complaint was definitely with the edge, and I think it wasn't a design flaw. I think that was a flaw from the OEM, and they just left a large burr. Like, this is a better cut than it was when I got it out of the box. I did push it through a few pieces of cardboard to see if there was a burr that I could knock off doing that through general use. And I will say one thing. This thing was cutting through that stuff like a razor blade. Like, it blazed through that cardboard, no sweat whatsoever. It's definitely a slicer, and if I'm going to do an EDC blade, I love something good and slicey. You know, for my purposes, it definitely serves my purposes well if it slices really nicely. This thing is definitely up there with the slicers that I've had. Cannot complain about that one bit. You know, and the thing is, with the factory edge out of the box, it cut pretty terribly. And, you know, I thought maybe that was something where the angle was a bit too obtuse, and that was the issue. But I think it was just it was a burr from the factory that didn't clean off. Because I compared that with the Pocket Monster, and I compared that with the, oh, geez, the little Chonk. Those cut as well as that did. So the factory edge, it's okay. It's not the best. You know, and I've gotten far sharper knives for cheaper, but I will say I did not get knives this cool for cheaper. You know, so take that for what it's worth. And it's D2, and I have guys asking about the corrosion resistance on D2 and worried about that. They don't want to carry D2 because of it. Let me tell you right now, somebody at Blade Show got me sick as hell. All right, about 2 days after I got home, I started feeling it. During that last live stream, I was starting to sound bad and I was starting to feel bad. I went back into work running 100-degree plus fever for 2 days. All right, and I have been recovering very slowly. So what this means is, with the sales floor in the store being unreasonably warm because of the temperatures outside and those doors never closing and me being sick, this thing soaked up ungodly amounts of sweat. Every time I took it out of the waistband and opened it, there was just sweat covering the whole blade. No corrosion, and I mean it marinated all day long. So if you're worried about D2 corroding on you, unless you are living outdoors or you are in an incredibly salty environment, you're probably not going to have any problems with it. I mean, other D2 I've had has gotten, you know, the sweat treatment, but this got the sweat treatment like nothing else I've ever carried. So it did really good there. And, you know, this was a joy to use every time I brought it out. Like, this is one where with this soft close on the button lock, you know, I wanted to sit there and fidget with it 24/7. And then when I was sitting in my truck at work on break dissociating, there were a couple of times where I just sat there for an hour doing that while I was watching YouTube. I really, really like how this button lock's done. And if you didn't see the first video I did on this thing, one of the cool things with RoseCraft is they're a small company, and they have a reasonably small crew of designers. And so that means, like, when you go look up the specs and you look at the knife on their website, you'll see exactly who designed it. And this one was designed by Andy Armstrong. And Andy, if you see this, this design is fantastic. It's a little funky. I love the funk on it. And I've been trying to think about the best way to describe it. And I think the best way I can put it is if you were in the forestry service in the 1950s when everything was plaid and tan. Everything. Or it was that the hammerite finish in that mint green color. This fits that vibe so well. This also does a pretty good job of something I would carry if I were married to the sea. It's definitely so different, and I like different, and this has definitely got just, it's different from my normal different. The design still, it speaks to me, and the more I've carried it and the more fond I become of it, it's just speaking to me even more. And if it's still on their website right now, it should be $20. Check out RoseCraft blades, see what they have. Because when I got this at Blade Show, they were moving a lot of old stuff out to make room for new stuff and new designs. So you should be able to pick up some deals still. And again, I'm very glad that I bought a second one of these to give away at 2,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. There's 4 knives I'm giving away, and you can win yourself a knife. But yeah, I mean, overall, this thing did fantastic. This is going in the box for a live stream, and the 20-sided die will eventually pick it out for us. And when it does, I'm looking forward to seeing how it do. These kind of factory edges on D2 usually tend to last about an hour, hour and a half before we got to sharpen them and get them at the angle that it's the most happy at for Cardboard Slayer. But, with the grind on the blade and the overall geometry on this, it may take a lot longer to wear out. I am looking forward to that live stream and really flogging it. That is going to be a lot of fun. This was already a very enjoyable knife to cut cardboard with, and I've gotten far enough into this now that, like, the enjoyability of slicing cardboard makes a difference on a knife. That's where I'm at with this. But, this thing is good. It's all around good. The factory edge is the only really ding. Like, it's a little rough around the edges, but again, small company, and, this definitely on their OEM, and it's more on their OEM than it is on them. But, for the price, I can't argue with it. This is $20, very, very well spent. This is a fantastic design. Just everything about this works. And it doesn't seem like it would work if you just described it to somebody. If you described it with 2 different colors of G10, stacked up like this, a flipper tab, and you got a button lock that won't let it open. It doesn't sound like it would work, but it works so, so well. And, I know I sound a little bit different with this than I do some of my other stuff, but I'm also going to be, it's a bit of a different thing when you're dealing with a small company and a group of makers that, you can talk to and interact with than it is dealing with a big faceless company where, big faceless company, I'm spending money on that stuff, everything better be perfect. The factory edge, everything. Smaller company like this kind of doing their own thing, absolutely a different beast. And, playing with this thing has also put my mind on a track of if I were working with them and I could submit my own design, I know what I would do. And I would love to see the end result of that because I think it would be so, so funky. But, I'm not a knife designer. I don't work with these guys, so it's going to be something stuck in my head for I don't know how long. But that's okay. This thing really does, it just does things different. I love it. And I know that was a lot of rambling about it, but, it's just, again, it's kind of hard to articulate all my thoughts on this thing. It was hard the first time, but, just at the end of the day, this is a very good design. It carried very well. It worked very well. I can speak very highly of this thing, and, it's doing things a little different, but, it does them so, so good. So, Andy, if you do see this, you did a great job designing this thing. You made something very, very cool that I absolutely love now that I've carried it for a while. Good God. And I am looking forward to feeding this hundreds of linear feet of cardboard over the course of 5 hours. So that was the RoseCraft Castorea. That's how my week went with it. All that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all are still coming in. Y'all have helped me sign up for the YouTube Partner Program. Like, we have made a huge milestone there because of you guys. Thank you so much. Comments, I love some feedback. What do you think about this thing? What do you think about the funk on it? And anything else you want to add? And all that being said, Y'all have a nice day.